Greetings and welcome to another episode of the TED in Your Head podcast. I'm Ted Moreno, certified hypnotherapist and high performance coach. And this podcast is all about achieving greater health, happiness, and success by transforming your mind and transforming your life. And one of the things I love to do on this podcast is talking to experts in health, healing, and personal transformation. So today, my very special guest is Katt Lowe. Hey, Katt, how you doing?
Hey, good. How are you, Ted?
I'm doing
Honored.
awesome.
Oh, good. I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
So happy to have you. So here's a little bit of information about Katt. Katt is a Reiki Master Teacher, certified clinical hypnotherapist. She's a fellow hypnotherapist and intuitive development instructor with over 20 years of experience. She offers services including hypnotherapy, Reiki, which we're going to talk about today, and intuition training, and she's dedicated to guiding individuals on their path to self-discovery, healing, and spiritual growth. Katt is also a fellow instructor at the Hypnosis Motivation Institute. So
Yeah.
not only is Katt an awesome hypnotherapist and a very cool person, one of the coolest people I
Oh,
know, but one of the reasons I really dig her is she is a rock and roll musician, right, Katt? So tell us a little bit
yes.
about your rock and roll life.
Yeah. As are you, as are you. So kindred spirits. I guess I don't know, I always like to say that I came out of the womb with a guitar in my hand and serenaded my parents and it really the history of it goes back to my grandmother and my great aunt and my great grandfather. They used to tour the states and actually play guitar and sing and all of that. I think even before they were recordings, and so it was definitely in the blood, I have to say. And where really, it's just when I was growing up, I always had a guitar. My aunt gave me my first guitar. My dad taught me Ring of Fire, Johnny
Johnny
Cash,
Cash, yeah.
which is ironic because later at one of the record companies I worked for, we released June Carter Cash, who is one of the most amazing people I ever met, and got to experience her vibe, which was really wonderful. And so I just went on to have bands, and I think my first band was when I want to say 14. I got my first job at a pizza place so I could go buy my guitars that I wanted, and records. Yep, records. And
Oh
so
yeah, got to buy records if you're a musician. Got to have a
yeah,
lot of
and
them.
and I was really lucky. My dad actually built me like a little studio on the property where I could have my
Wow.
band practices and stuff. And so that was really wonderful. I think I joined my first band when I was 14 years old. And then I realized I wanted my own bands. So I've had my own band since I was probably like 16, 15, 16 and started rocking. I played the Whiskey, the Roxy, different places, the Coconut Teaser. That was a lot of fun. And in about 1990, I want to say 98, 97, 98 is when I was very lucky to meet some of my heroes who became some of my very closest friends, which were Cherie Curry from the Runaways, Sandy West from the Runaways. And so we would join each other on stage, and that was always so much fun. It was my favorite times of playing, just to be in that vibration. And Cherie actually produced my CD, and we wrote songs together. And here we are today. Here we are today.
Well, so I went on YouTube and I saw you on stage with Cherie, and you were just rocking it and singing a song and playing guitar. And I was like, wow, there's Katt on
Yeah.
YouTube. And then also, when I Googled you, I guess your CD is available on Amazon.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it probably is.
Right
Yeah.
on. Well, that's
Yeah.
just that's
Yeah.
just so awesome. And every time
Oh.
I talk to you, I get more inspired to play more guitar and maybe get out there
Oh.
and do an open mic or two. So thank you for that.
Oh. I wish you do you do live open mics? I would love to watch. I would love to watch since I'm
Yeah,
in.
yeah. You know who
Yeah.
Ben Harper is?
Yes, yes. Uh-huh.
Well, his mom owns the folk shop in Claremont. So
Oh.
they have open mics once a month. And I
Oh
recently went down
wow.
there and bought this resonator guitar, and Ben Harper was there. So
Oh,
I,
how
I
nice.
got a photo
Yes. And
with him. Yeah.
oh, how amazing. And I
Hmm.
see the Les Paul behind you as well. So yeah, wonderful.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, so boy, we could talk about music probably for a long, long time, and maybe we
Yes.
will sometime in the future. But today I wanted to talk about Reiki. So you're
Yes.
a Reiki master and a teacher of Reiki, and you offer Reiki services.
Mhm.
And I know a lot of people have heard of Reiki, and some people get Reiki, but I think there's a lot of people that don't really understand what it is. So I really wanted to have you on the podcast today to, kind of ask you some questions about Reiki and help people have a better understanding of what
Yeah.
Reiki is, because I think it's very powerful. I got Reiki probably when I was in my late 20s or early 30s, and I just found it so powerful. So let's start with, what is Reiki, Kat?
Is Reiki. Reiki is a beautiful, powerful life force energy that moves through all of us. It's a healing modality, number one. So an energy healing modality. So Reiki is really known for hands-on and hands-off. As some teachers would tell you it was just hands-on, and that's not accurate. It's hands-on and hands-off. And I love the ritual. So Reiki really has a ritual of going through the healings, and we work with symbols and signs, and it's very powerful. We do attunements that help open your energy up more to move that energy through you more, that healing energy. And it's really, I think the way to look at it is, and I think it's best to kind of give you an idea how I got there real quickly. And that is when I joined HMI. I've always been able to see auras. When I was a child, I would see ghosts until that terrified me, and now I see them as orbs and little white diamonds and blue diamonds. But I've always been able to see auras around people's heads and in their bodies, and I never made much of it. And then when I got to HMI and I was staring at the teachers in that middle room with a white board behind it, I would see certain teachers' auras much stronger. And I was like, wow, I guess I should look into that now, since I'm here at the hypnosis school. So I started going into different energy modalities. So I first started with the reconnection, and then I believe something called EMF, electromagnetic field. And then I went to Reiki. So in 2005 is when I started Reiki. And then I went to study Qigong. So I was studying hypnosis all at the same time of studying
Mm,
Reiki. And then Qigong is over 5,000 years old.
hmm
And then of course we have shamanism, and that's over 10,000 years old. But
hmm
we have the most documentation that I'm aware of is from Qigong, and Tai Chi is the sister of Qigong, so to speak. And then I also studied pranic healing, and I circled back to Reiki. And again, I love the hands-on and hands-off. It's one of the only energy healing modalities that you really can do both, or that you're taught both, I should say. And the idea is, and I like this analogy. There's a belief. So in Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, and in Qigong, there's a belief that when our energy becomes stagnant, we become ill. So, and you also know EFT,
Emotional
emotional
freedom
technique,
technique.
right? That Susie teaches. And so when our energy becomes stagnant, we become ill. It makes a lot of sense. So the idea is that we have 12 main meridians that run through our body, and we also have the 7 main chakras, but there's so many more. But just that's usually the focus. So when you think of an acupuncturist, the acupuncturist is listening to you and knows where to put the needles to help free up the energy. And one of
Hmm
the analogies that I learned was, if you were to imagine your energy field, but in this case we'll say meridians flowing through you, and like rivers, but there's
hmm
debris in
mm
those rivers. Maybe there's mud, and there's sticks and whatever's gathered in. So it's hard to get the energy, the water flowing through the river because of that debris, of that mud, of that sludge. It might get through a little bit, but it's going to go around the debris a
hmm
lot. But that is where they believe how our energy is. It becomes stagnant. So the energy is not circulating properly in the river. It's not flowing properly. Same idea with our energy. It's not flowing properly.
mm
And so by using acupuncture, acupressure, or any kind of energy healing modality like Reiki, you learn how to move the energy and keep it flowing through the body so we don't get the debris. So wherever there's illness in the body, there's a belief that that's because the chi, also known as ki. So you see chi as chi, qi, ki, prana,
Right.
different terms for the same life force energy. So you see that you can imagine that the energy in the body, wherever there's pain or
hmm
anything, a tumor or something, is where the energy has stopped flowing. So when you use energy healing like Reiki to keep that energy moving and flowing, that's how can heal ourselves and help to heal others. So kind of another way I like to look at it is gray clouds, and you're just moving the gray clouds out and letting the light in is another way.
That's
And
really very, very fascinating. And the way you
mm,
explain it is really awesome. It's a type of energy healing. I've certainly done acupuncture. I practice Qigong regularly, and I
oh,
worked with Dr. Eric Pearl as
oh
well
yes, oh you did, yes,
when I was
yeah.
living in Tucson, Arizona. As a matter of fact, I was one of the volunteers to go to the energy lab at the U of A, and they did a little study with like Geiger counters and all kinds of recording equipment. And
Yes,
yeah, it
yes.
was really, really interesting.
How
So,
amazing.
yeah,
Yes, I took it in 2005. I wonder if we crossed paths. Yeah, yeah.
I was like in the 90s. He was just starting out.
Oh, wow. As a chiropractor, in fact.
Yes,
Yes, that
yes.
too. Yeah. Oh,
In,
wow. Uh-huh.
interesting
Nice.
chap. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so what can someone expect, let's say during a Reiki treatment and then after? So, what would that look like if somebody had a Reiki treatment, let's say in person? Because I also understand you can do it long distance as well, right?
Yes. So, okay, so Reiki. So I should explain this part. So if you were to think of the kanji Reiki, Rei means spiritual consciousness. Ki means life force energy.
So kanji means Japanese characters.
Symbol. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
uh-huh. Yeah, the way they read. Yeah. So it's a Japanese symbol of kanji. And so when you're getting a healing, you're receiving it on a spiritual, a physical, or an emotional level. And the Reiki practitioner doesn't know what, right? So we don't know what they need first. So
Hmm.
let's just say it's somebody who's dealing with some type of serious illness. We don't know if they need to have a healing on a spiritual level or an emotional level or physical level. And of course, our intention is to help them physically, but it is our intention to also help them emotionally and spiritually.
Hmm.
So we just trust that the life force energy, the Reiki will go where it needs to go, and it will help heal up what needs to heal first. And so it's a mind, body, soul, mind, body, spirit, connection. And so what they might feel is magnetic, heat, coolness, tingly. They might feel like they're, expanding in a way is what I would say, like rivers of waves of relaxation, which would also be known as energy.
Hmm.
And it's just so peaceful. And it's, as you know, doing Qigong, I'm a big Qigong practitioner as well. You feel sometimes, how I explain it when I go on the body, it's really grounding them. And you start to tingle and feel like you're just expanding.
Mm.
And then when you're off the body, absolutely, they feel like they're kind of rising up out of the body and receiving. So sometimes when somebody has an energy healing, a Reiki healing, they'll feel like they are dreaming, like
Mm.
they start to see things and release things. Not all people, and that's
Hmm.
just another way of kind of they're just letting go, or they go into this wonderful place where they might fall asleep and kind of get out of the way and let
Yeah.
the healing happen. But
Mm.
no matter what, they always come back feeling very peaceful, energetic, and um I don't even, I can't explain it. It's, you have to experience it, but
Yes.
ultimately they feel relieved. And it's not just a one and done. I should say
Hmm.
that it's something that you come through, many sessions. Hopefully people will do and learn how to
Sure.
do themselves so
Hmm.
that they continue to find that peace. So it gives them, I guess the best way is it gives them inner peace. It gives them clarity. They feel more inspired, more motivated, and they'll feel better because it's raising their vibration. It's giving
Yes.
them so much light, and they'll also feel that love of that energy of that light. How's that?
Okay. Now people can do Reiki on themselves,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
And you're a Reiki teacher, so you teach
Yes.
people how to do Reiki, and I
Yeah,
guess you give them the attunements.
I do. Yeah.
So,
So,
so what's an attunement? What's that all about? Because the Reiki energy you said is in every one of us, right? I mean, that healing
yes. Yeah.
energy. Yeah.
Ultimately, yes, life force energy.
Uh-huh.
So Reiki attunement is so Reiki level 1 is focused more on really the physical, and that's where you start to learn how to do Reiki for with yourself,
Mhm.
and you can start to work on others. But in level two is where it's more mental and emotional. And so with level two, it just kind of amplifies you up even more. And
Mhm.
level three is Reiki Master Teacher. And that's where you learn if you're with the right Reiki. Some people will add other levels, but really there's only a level three ultimately. And so, and that's Reiki Master Teacher, where you can learn to teach Reiki, at least with my students. And with that, they know how to teach level one and two and three, and the attunements are a part of the whole process. And each attunement is really opening up their chakras, their energy system more
Okay.
to channel more energy through them. But
Got
they're
it.
also being attuned to a method, and they're learning a method. However, it's not linear because ultimately they can learn, they're
Mhm.
going to use their intuition. And when they're conducting an energy, what does the energy healer feel is pretty much the same as what the recipient is feeling. That's magnetic heat, coolness, or tingly. You'll have a sense or a knowing eventually as you get good at it. You can pick up the blocks in the body,
Mm.
where that stagnant energy is.
Yeah.
And it just feels when you give a healing, you receive a healing. So it's never taking your energy, which is wonderful. And ultimately, it's just raising the vibration so that they can live a better life.
So how do you do Reiki long distance? Because I know you talked about hands-on. So,
Yes.
you're in New York right now. How do you
I
do a
am.
Reiki healing on somebody in California?
Yeah, it's pretty powerful. Well, there is no time or distance really.
Mhm.
And honestly, I've always preferred to do more off the body Reiki than on the body.
Mm.
And so I do a lot of on the body to ground somebody. And it's
Mhm.
pretty powerful. You feel like you're kind of just like sinking in, but off the body can be so strong. So in Reiki, they've always done distance healing. And so, for example, if I did a session, I'll just say this, once the pandemic happened, I
Mhm.
started to do a lot more distant Reiki than I ever did. And I was
Sure.
fully booked in my classes of teaching Reiki. And here we are now, we can't get into, into each other's space because of COVID. Right. So then I thought, well, I meditated on it and I thought, is it okay to teach it online? And absolutely it is. And I just teach them exactly the way I would teach them if they were in person. I
Mhm.
put them in breakout rooms and they're doing energy, and you can feel it. It's inevitable that you can feel it. It's just as strong. In some ways, I would say even stronger. The attunements, like I've had students come that have been to my live, in-person attunements to go into my online attunements, and they're like, whoa, it was even stronger. And I think some of that is because they're in their own space, in their
Right.
own place, in their own
Yeah.
energy. So that's been a wonderful experience, but you can just send it across time, just like thoughts, thoughts and prayers are
Wow.
energy as well. Hmm.
So, can you talk about some of the positive outcomes you've had with people you've worked with, or maybe, a case history of a healing or something that had a really, really positive outcome?
Yeah, I can say from the very beginning of me doing this 20 years ago, about in 2008, I had a cyst on my ovaries. And this is something like cedar cyanide had monitored for 13 years.
Mm.
And finally they said, Kat, we have to put you into surgery. We don't know what that is, and we
Mhm.
need to get it out. And that was kind of devastating because I thought, well, I'm a Reiki, healer. I'm a hypnotherapist. I can get rid of this myself. And ultimately I had 3 weeks. So I did a lot of Qigong, a lot of Reiki and self-hypnosis. And I got in there 3 weeks later. After that, the last thing was an MRI. They could see it, clear as day. It was the size of a baseball. It had burst, and then more came back and lots of little ones. They opened me up and they're gone. And
Wow.
so, and I remember when I was working on myself, I thought, I better leave a little something behind or they're never going to believe it. So there was just a little bit of endometriosis on the side of my ovary.
Mm.
And then the surgeon told me a couple of weeks later that, this is the short version, that I would need at least 3 surgeries. And I said, no, I won't. I wouldn't let him plant that seed. And I've been fine ever since. I've never come back. But I've also seen I also healed my gallbladder most recently. I would say 2 years ago, I had started having a gallbladder attack, and 3 surgeons wanted to release remove my gallbladder. and I just knew not to do it.
Mm,
And so I kept doing Reiki. And of course, I changed my diet and to make sure. And my gallbladder has been checked out thoroughly for the last couple of years, and they're saying that you have no problems with your gallbladder. It's fine. I've also seen my cat who was diagnosed with kidney disease
mm.
at almost 5 years old. I refused to accept it. And now she, within 3 to 4 months, she has no kidney disease. And it's still that way 2 years later. So
Mm,
I've seen for clients tumors shrink. I've seen
mhm.
them, heal. But I always like to say, we're not really the healers, the client is, and
Yes,
it's the client that is receiving the healing. They are the
yes.
they're the person that is on a soul level that is deciding whether or not they want the healing. I'm just the conduit, and I know how to channel that energy to them in order for them to heal.
And I think it's important to acknowledge that a client may get healed, but not necessarily cured,
Correct. I like that. Yes.
right?
Very,
Right?
very much so.
So healing could very much happen on a spiritual level, even though healing may not happen on a physical level, right?
Exactly. We don't know their contract, right? We don't know what
Exactly.
they agreed to. Mhm.
Do you combine Reiki with hypnotherapy? I know some people do.
Yes. How I do it is I do, well, our normal talk like we would as hypnotherapist, right?
Sure.
So find out what they're here for, what they would
Hmm.
want to work on. And then I find out if there's any issues in the body. I mean, they don't have to tell me, I can detect it, but it's nice. I don't need to play psychic at that time, so they can certainly tell me. It would be helpful sometimes. And then I'll do the Reiki first, because Reiki has already been proven that we go into a theta state or any kind
Hmm.
of energy modality, right?
Hmm.
So the moment you start to do energy with yourself or with others, you're going into a theta state, they're going into a theta
Okay,
state.
so explain briefly what a theta state is for
Oh,
people that
okay.
don't know.
No, good idea. So it's a brain wave. It's a
Okay.
trance state. It's a meditative state. It's where we take people for hypnosis from alpha to theta.
Hmm.
And when we're wide awake, we're in a beta brainwave state.
Right.
When we're starting to slip into trance, we're in alpha. When we're in theta, we're in a good meditative or hypnotic state. And when we're in delta, we're asleep.
And
And
that
so,
this can all be measured using EEGs, I think, right?
yes,
Or
isn't that fascinating? Yeah,
ECGs, or I don't, not even sure
right.
what the thing is that they use to measure. But anyway, so I'm sorry for interrupting you. So,
Oh, no.
so you're doing hypnotherapy and you're combining Reiki and you're putting people into this theta state, which is a
Mhm.
trance state.
So I do the Reiki first, and then because I want to be present. So I don't do it at the same time.
Mm,
I want to be present. I want to know what their body's telling me because
mm.
I can pick up on those messages. I want to feel what they're telling me, with what their soul is telling me as I'm working with the energy. And then I'll do like a good 20, 30 minutes of Reiki. Then I will do the 20 minutes of hypnotherapy. So
Okay,
I'm not, because if I'm trying to think of words and where's their energy, if I of what to say hypnotically, then I'm not completely present doing Reiki, and
got
I want
it.
it to be.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So, um, myself, I have a tendency to be more of a skeptic, but I definitely can't deny my own experiences with
Yeah.
acupuncture, with Reiki, with
Mm.
certain, psychic people, right? And other
Yeah.
energy healers. So I've had a number of different energy healing. So, I mean, I can't deny what I myself experience. Um, if possible, I like to, rely on the science, but I understand that science is a philosophy and, it's always changing all the time. So it's just what we know, and there's a lot of things that we don't know and we can't measure. So,
Right.
how would you address somebody that said, well, Reiki's not been proven by science, or some people consider it a pseudoscience, and I'm not sure about all of this? How would you address that?
Well, first of all, I would say that Reiki is okay. So I see Qigong is the tree, and
Hmm.
Reiki is a branch off of that tree. Pranic healing is, reconnective is,
Hmm.
all these other healing modalities. And I mean, we can go to the shamanic tree, but we'll stay with the Qigong tree right
Hmm.
now. And so there's 5,000 years worth of documentation, and they have proven, that we are energy and that
Hmm.
everything is energy and that we are the same as the stars, right? As far as if you were to look at us under a microscope. And so we are stardust. So it has been proven, but as far as has it been proven to cure this or that, not necessarily. There are many studies out there. East meets West is the best, I always say. So I think Eastern, medicine mixed with Western medicine is the best as far as, and food, so I don't want to leave that out. It's food you eat, the thoughts you think, the company you keep, the air you breathe, the water you drink. Okay. Is all part of it.
Mm.
But if they were to say, prove it to me, I would just do
Mm.
it on them,
Mm.
and they would feel it. And it's undeniable. If I work with even somebody's hands, it's undeniable. And then I would show them some techniques that they can do, or I'd show them, some Qigong techniques that they could do that is undeniable, that you can literally feel it. And I can show people how to see it. Can you see that? So if you watch right here, and I was so great. It was so wonderful to realize that I can do this online, because I always do it in person in class for
Mhm.
people. And you don't move your eyes, and you just let your eyes go trancy, like you're starting to daydream. And I put my fingers out like this. You're going to see me leave trails like heat off a pavement.
Hmm.
You see that?
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I can do it again. And it's the energy field. So I'm moving the energy field. So you see, I'm moving the energy field with my hands. And if I'm moving the energy field, if I'm clearing myself, you see, that's what I'm doing when I'm working on myself. That's what I'm doing when I'm working on others. I'm helping them to clear their energy. And it's my goal to teach them how to do it for themselves, so they don't just rely on me. So I would show them things like that, which are undeniable, because you can see it. You just
Mhm.
had to look for it. But I see air, it's always moving.
Mm.
And I feel like we are like fish in water. We
Mhm.
don't realize we are in an energy field. It's like the
Yes.
matrix in a sense. We are surrounded by energy all the time. We are energy. We have an aura that goes anywhere from 5 to 10 feet out. Everybody has auras. We're all intuitive. I'm super intuitive, and I teach that too. And and part of doing Reiki is you become more intuitive. And so ultimately it's undeniable.
Mm.
And once, you start talking to somebody, they'll start to admit, yeah, yeah, I felt that, or I see that, or I
Sure.
know that. Mhm.
Well, one of the things that really blew my mind was when I signed up to go take this 3-day course with Dr. Eric Pearl in Tucson, Arizona. This was maybe in
Yes.
the late 80s, early 90s, right?
Wow.
So he
Yes.
had kind of an introductory thing, before people actually signed up. It was an introductory thing where he talked about what he did, and he had everybody do this, right? He says, "Okay, let's everybody do this. Keep doing it,
Right.
keep doing it." So we did this till our hands started feeling tired. He's like, "Keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it."
Yeah.
And I know you're tired, keep doing it. He says, so stop doing it and hold your hands out like this. And then he would walk through and he would pass his hands
Yeah.
between people's hands. And darned if I didn't feel,
Oh yeah.
I was like, whoa, I'd never felt anything like that. And I was like, wow. He's like, yeah, that you got a bunch of energy going on in the hands. And
Right.
now I'm like interrupting that energy by passing my hand through. And that just blew my mind because that was the
Isn't that
first
amazing?
time I'd ever felt
Yes.
any kind of
Yes.
energy like that. It was amazing to
Yeah.
me.
Yes. And that's a great technique that he did. And again, um, I have to give it back to Qigong too. I mean, I can't, because Qigong, they're always working with their hands. You see them doing
Yeah.
that, and how they're sending it to themselves. And yes. And so and I love Eric Pearl, but even before him,
Hmm.
yes, that's what they were doing. And so he had you charge up your energy field,
Yeah.
and then he kind of sliced it with a knife, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
with his own hand. Yeah, but you also felt his, because the thing is, our hands have chakras. And so, and I
Yes.
love to do that one. So for example, if I had a client in front of me, I'd have them put their hand out like this, and I'd
Hmm.
have one hand here and one hand on the other side of them. And I would get that, go palm to palm, and get them to start to feel their energy.
Yes.
And then I would just move back and forth and go up and down, and then do this and actually feel the energy, and they will feel it, and it's undeniable. So there's different ways and techniques to do it. But yes, the first time you feel it, it's like, what is
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Very, very cool. All right. So you offer classes teaching Reiki, you offer Reiki treatments, and of course you do hypnotherapy sessions as well. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to learn more about you or somebody wanted to take advantage of the services that you offer, how would they get in touch with you?
Thank you. They can just go to my website, which is
Hmm.
kattlowe.com,
Okay.
KATTLOWE.com. And I've also, if you don't mind, have just created Reiki communities and intuitive development and spiritual communities to where we meet every week. And so we get to talk about these things. And so they get to stay in it. And one of the reasons I created the communities is because after they take a class, they don't have friends to do it on, or they want to learn more, or they're just not comfortable, talking
Hmm.
about it. So this is a space that they can go to. They can talk about it all the time and learn more and expand upon their gifts.
Awesome. So that's kattlowe.com, KATTLOWE.com.
Correct.
And I'll put that in the, I always put like show notes or
Uh-huh.
information about the podcast, how they could listen to it. So
Thank you.
for our listeners out there, you could always listen to Ted in Your Head on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and we're on Spotify too. So
Yeah, it's amazing. Congratulations. Yeah.
thanks. So I'll be taking this video, I'll be putting it on my YouTube channel, I'll be putting it out on Facebook so everybody can see it.
Wonderful.
Because I think, what you do is really awesome. And, I might be interested in taking a class or two or getting a treatment or two myself. It's been a long time since I've had Reiki. So,
I would love to do that for you. I would love to
yeah.
do that. You just tell me when. It's on me. I'm happy to do it with you.
Oh, well, that's very
Yeah.
generous of you. Yeah, we'll talk
Oh,
about that.
uh,
Well,
that's what friends are for.
thank you so much. That's sweet.
Absolutely. Yes, yes.
Well, also, friends are for coming on your podcast and talking about the cool things that they do. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule and being on my podcast. I very much appreciate it.
Thank
It's
you.
kind of a bummer that you live so far away, but you come into town fairly often. So,
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, and then we could be jamming, right?
yeah,
On guitars. Yeah, that would be fun too. And doing energy work. So yeah, wonderful.
well, making music is energy work too, isn't it?
Yes, yes, absolutely. As is hypnosis. Yeah, energy work.
Right
So yeah,
on.
all of it very
Okay.
powerful. All right. Well,
Okay,
thank
well,
you so
everybody
much.
out there, thank you so much. And of course, if you want to get in touch with me, tedmoreno.com, you can ask for a complimentary consultation and we'll find out if hypnotherapy is right for you. Also mentioning that Kat is an awesome hypnotherapist and, everybody
As are
finds their,
you.
thank you. So,
Uh-huh.
we both bring our different ways of doing it to the table. So I
Mhm.
wouldn't be at all jealous if people said, "Oh, I love Kat. I want her as my hypnotherapist." So I
Thank
don't think
you.
there needs to be any competition. There's enough.
Never, no. And I don't know if you probably don't toot your own home horn, but you know that you're an amazing instructor at HMI too. And the students just love you. So I want to give you that. Yeah, you are amazing. So
Thank you so
wonderful.
much. Okay.
Yes.
Well, you take good care of yourself. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today to today's episode of Ted in Your Head. And by all means, if you know somebody that could benefit from this information, please feel free to share this however you want to or need to. So thanks, everybody, for listening. Thank you so much, Kat, for being here today. And we will talk soon.
All
Bye-bye,
right.
everybody.
Bye-bye.